Alright, so in this video we're going to be talking about pretty much why people on YouTube have essentially made as much money as they did compared to like working like hourly compared to like other people. And what's really interesting about this is that, you know, a lot of people really don't understand how this works. And not in the sense that, you know, like people just don't do it. Like, you know, people still have yet to come to that realization that it's really just like that. Like, you could if you worked at it. You know, like one day, I mean, I literally could be somebody who just vlogs for the, like his whole life, and people could watch it because it'd be interesting. You know, like learning stuff that most people haven't even come to that realization yet. And so, you know, here's one for you. You know, whether you love him or hate him, you know, look at Pewdiepie, for example. The guy has almost made over $100 million in his net worth. Meaning that, you know, he as a celebrity, or rather a famous person, is somebody who almost made $100 million just playing video games. And, well, really, right now, I think last time I checked it was like 76 million or something like that. I'll have to update it once I find the accurate, but in this video, it's pretty much talking about, like, all this content that this guy, you know, all this net worth, and, you know, like the ads and the merchandise he sold, and pretty much just putting himself out there that people know who this guy is. And yet a lot of people, they don't understand what this guy does. And yet when you hear somebody say that YouTube is a real job, you know, some people look at that and they just look at the majority and they say, oh, that's not a real job. But yet you look at all these other people that are famous, and yet, you know, they've earned it. But it wasn't just blind luck. It was really more of that they put the time into it, and they did so long that they believed in themselves, and therefore they knew what they were doing. So therefore, you know, I mean, sure, you know, maybe you're not going to be as popular as Pewdiepie, let's just say, or at least not as fast, maybe, because it took him, last time I checked, 6 years, 3 months, and 3 weeks to get where he was at, because that's when he joined YouTube. But what's really interesting, though, is one can't deny that he's going to be the first guy to hit 50 million subscribers on YouTube. If there's somebody else that has as much subscribers as he does, because I'm not really sure who's, you know, really who's falling behind him. I know Markiplier's up there, and even he's like making more money than he should be making a living. But hey, you know, that's just how it works. You know, you get what you deserve. And honestly, if people tell you anything different, then, well, you know, those people probably just, you know, they have yet to come to that realization. You know, people like, you know, I've heard a lot of people always tell me that, you know, they don't believe that what I'm doing is a real job. And, you know, again, you know, I just sit there and I tell them, well, you know, hey, you know, everything takes time. And that is true. Everything does take time. No matter what you do, no matter what you think, everything is a risk initially. You could be somebody who went to college and then they just get laid all off, and then maybe they don't find a job until the next time, and they didn't save up enough money. I'm not saying they spent all their money. And then they lose everything they own because they couldn't pay their bills in time. I mean, I've seen that happen to people. It literally turned around and screwed them over big time. Just the timing of it was just hugely bad luck, because the people they used to work for, you know, didn't really care about it. And it happens to a lot of people. You ask a lot of people why people hate their jobs. It's because people can't, you know. So how do you prevent this? Well, you always have a backup plan, but at the same time, though, you're open to every idea. You know, again, why work for someone else when you can do your own thing and make even more money? You know, they say time is money, but another meaning behind that saying is that a lot of people don't understand is that, you know, you can do anything if you put your mind to it. You know, why not, you know, why spend a lot of time doing something when you can do something yourself and get even better results in such a faster period of time? So again, you know, if you had a chance between going to college and paying a buttload of money and possibly not getting that job, because let's be honest, some people go to school and they don't necessarily, you know, and this is debatable, what fields are really useful and which ones aren't. I mean, not just based off pay rates, but the field of success is what they like to refer to it as. Yeah, I know it sounds a little confusing, but you know, you go through all this trouble, and you know, you think people just say like you have to go to college because it's the only way. But yet, what these people don't realize is that anything is possible. If other people are doubting you and doubting the fact that you could do this, or rather just the idea that this could work, then these people are just limiting themselves, and limitations are terrible, because, you know, you can thank somebody else for brainwashing people into thinking that, because that's not usually how it works. You know, you look at someone like Pewdiepie, and, you know, he didn't doubt himself. He was already accepting himself for who he is, and if other people couldn't accept him for who he was, then that was their fault. And, you know, again, if you look at Pewdiepie again, you know, he's a guy that makes a lot of money. He makes so much money, in fact, that people care about him. He sells merchandise, he sold a book, he entertains people, he gives people good advice, he donates money to charities that actually work. from what I understand. He is a individual that cares about people. And because of that, that's what got him where he's at, because his determination and motivation. And that's the reality of it. He was like anybody else that started off on the internet. And then now he's like up and beyond because, he cares about people. And some people don't realize that. And, the way I look at it, why discredit ideas? And while we're at it, look at Markiplier, look at Jenna Marbles, look at Mr. Repzion, the amazing atheist. Again, I mean, just to name people in general. I don't watch these people. Review Tech USA, Alpha Omega Sin, for example. They're just people that just, they're their own people, but they make a buttload of money off YouTube just by doing what they do because they talk about stuff and they put the time and effort into it, and it's because of that they just pretty much got where they were at because they believed in themselves to a degree, and they pretty much were just turned off by the fact that people just upset them somehow, just saying you can't do this because we think it doesn't work, but then yet at the same time though, then there's people that said no, we can do this and it does work because look at what the internet's turning into. I mean, everything's going on the internet. Eventually everything, it's going to be inevitable, meaning like it's unavoidable. The internet is going to be, people are going to be going on the internet uploading stuff like they already are. Why is it? I mean, and let's talk about the real job market that people don't really talk about too much. It's not that the job market necessarily, is bad. It's just that everything's done on the internet anyways. Why pay somebody? And not to mention, some places won't, even for minimum wage, won't even hire people. They don't even have a college degree. And yet, if that's the new normal, then, I mean, I'm not an idiot. I mean, I know how to translate stuff. I know how to, I have skills. Why should I pay a butt of money that I don't even have and, take out grants, pay back more, and, it's not saying like, oh, he wants to just live off welfare and everybody else does all the hard work. No, it's not. It's that there's people that are making even more money doing their own thing, and, realistically, all you have to do is do a little research, and you'll know that if people actually did a little research, they'd know this, because it's there. College is too expensive. Trade schools are sort of expensive, but they're more useful than colleges. But again, there's people on the internet that are doing their own thing, and everything's done on the internet. Again, yeah, you'll probably have to get a job until you actually get this done, but but who's to say that, people can't have their own dream job if they're willing to earn it, especially if they already have it figured out, like how it works and what they want to do. Like for me, for example, I translate stuff for people. I'm willing to sit down and translate stuff for people. Sure, it takes a while, but the fans come to me because they see this and they're like, wow, this guy is, and again, just because other people don't know what I do, does that mean that I'm wasting my time? Or just because other people lack that knowledge, does that mean that he's not doing anything? No, it just means that people don't know what I'm doing and they have yet to learn this stuff. And I mean, I'd be glad to sit down and talk to them if they weren't too busy trying to tell me that, it's not worth the time and effort, especially if I know it's worth the time and effort because I'm willing to work at it like everybody else. People are just hard to understand because people just don't care. But why people don't care, I think it's because people just have yet to realize why they should. And people are just got their own problems, so, they only focus on themselves. Kind of makes sense. But, Pewdiepie, though, is a guy that, he all these things. He works around all this. And this is what makes him such a great person. Again, I don't care if he's funny or not, he's a really good individual doing what he does, and he cares about people, and that's why he will always be remembered for what he did successfully. He makes a lot of money off the internet because he tells people to do the right thing and he puts himself out there. The reason why people still talk about him is because people care about him. Because they're like, oh, did you see what Felix did? Well, the reason he did it is because, he's a individual that cares about other people. Makes sense. Then you got people like me that no one's ever heard of, but one day they could be popular one day in a different way, and it will be like a different time, but it's like, people, you can do anything if you put your mind to it, but you just have to believe. And the reason why you gotta believe is because, you can essentially help people out in that field, and especially, like, again, people like Pewdiepie. Somebody that is willing to talk about these things. People will watch it because they agree with it. And there will be people that will sit down and they will say that, he can do anything because He proved it. If he didn't do it, then nobody would know who he is. But the way I look at it, if he never cared about the people that he was supporting, then, people wouldn't give him all that attention back. So really, in the end, Pewdiepie got where he was at because that works. YouTube is a real job. The internet is a real job. Everything is, especially if you make more money doing this and you can retire earlier. Who's to say it's not a real job? You know what I mean? Just because other people doubt that. What I tell people? I say, well, if you doubt something, if you find a problem with something, you should find a solution. And the solution is to never give up.